Hare Krishna. So we'll sing the song Vrindavana Ramyasthana. This song is sung by Narottam Das Thakur. Vrindavana Ramyasthana Divya Chintamani Dama Ratana Mandira Manohara. Vrindavana Ramyasthana Divya Chintamani Dama Ratana Mandira Mano.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, audio very feeble Prabhu.
Abrita Kalindi Nere Rajahamsa Kelikare Tahe Shobe Kanaka Kamala Lindi Nere. Vrindavana Ramyasthana Chintamani Dama Ratana Mandira Manohara. Tara Madhye Mapita Ashtadale Bestita Ashtadale Pradhananaika. Tara Madhye Ratnasane Bashiyache Dui Jane Shama Sange Sundari Radhika. Vrindavana Ramyasthana Divya Chintamani Dama Ratana Mandira Manohara. O Rupa Labanya Rasi Amiya Pariche Kashi Hasha Parihasa Sambhasane. नरोत्तम दासा को ये नित्य लीला चुक मोये सदा स्फूरिका मोरा माने. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च. श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमा ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. नमा महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्याय नाम्ने गौरतुषे नमः. नमो ब्राह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणाय हिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे. शृण्वतां स्वकत कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्. यथेच्छां सकला पुंस कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रियारि व्याकुलं लोकं हृदयन्ते युगे युगे. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So welcome to today's Bhagavata. Okay, so in today's Bhagavatam class, the topic is Glories of Karthik Mass. So, what I've thought through is to talk about Glories of Karthik Mass. We will divide the section into two parts. First, we'll understand how Lord is the ultimate protector. through the glories, we can understand. And then we can also go through sequence, chronological events that happened actually in Karthik Mass. Many of us, we say Karthik is very glorious, but actually what happened? What are the different kinds of Leelas that happened in Karthik Mass? So we'll just go through a sequence of all those events starting from Sharat Purnima all the way till Bhishma Panchaka. So what all events happened and why Karthik became very glorious. So we also see that. Then I don't know how much time we'll have, but I'll try to squeeze as much as possible. So then we will also see why Yashoda or the love of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj is considered to be topmost. How maternal affection, the epitome of maternal affection was demonstrated by Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. So we'll also try to read that from the 8th chapter, 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll read through few slokas, like 3-4 slokas, and see what Prabhupada's conclusion is. Then we will try to conclude some of the learnings from Damodar Leela, which is the one of the most amorous or the glorious Leela that happened in the month of Kartik, right? Since all of you must have heard Kartik Leela many times, so I want to focus on key aspects in the Kartik Leela that actually helps us in practice of devotion and increase our persistence in practice of devotion again and again. Okay, so we'll go something like this. See, Krishna is called the ultimate protector, and one who surrenders to him, and that realization is the ultimate goal of one's life. Practice of devotion service is the greatest and very, very valuable. So we will see how Krishna brings someone into devotion, or we will see from certain slokas how what Prabhupada is talking about plan of the Lord in one's life. We always keep thinking that, why some event like this happened, unable to comprehend this. How do we understand Lord's protection? Is Lord protection about killing paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya dushkritam? Is Lord about killing someone and then protecting someone? Or Lord is actually talking about protecting our spiritual practices and progress? So we'll see those examples more detail. Okay. So I will quote some examples from slokas. I picked some slokas. So this is from the pastime from the canto 8, chapter 2, right? So in this pastime is from Gajendra Moksha. So in this chapter, sloka, so Krishna is talking about Prabhupada's commentary. I'm going to read the important aspect of the commentary. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord clearly says, Mrityu Sarva Haraschaham. I am all devouring death. Thus, Mrityu or death is the representative who takes everything away from the living entity who accepted this material body. So, death looks to be very gory. The problem of death to a materialistic person is he fears on many aspects. The first fear is what is going to happen to me after death? Where am I going to go? What sort of suffering I have to go through? So, that fear and anxiety is very high. Secondly, if you look at him, so much of attachment on this material plane with his family, with his opulence, with his education, with his whatever he has, that unable to renounce them. So you see, that portion of the death is also very fearful for a person. So if you combine these two, intense attachment on activities of the material plane, and combined with these two aspects, you see, death is very painful for people who do not practice devotion service. But for people who are practicing devotion service, look at death, how glorious they think. It is not the Prabhupada says it's not that devotees don't die, devotees also will die. But two things about devotees dying is what is the state of consciousness that they are in? Secondly, what destination gets awarded to a devotee. This is the contrasting difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. And hence Prabhupada explains in this purport. He says, the difference is, however, that for one who surrenders to Krishna fully and who is protected by Krishna, the present body is his last body. Okay? He will not again receive a material body to be subjected to death. This is assured in Bhagavad Gita. Takta deham punarjanma naiti mamiti savarjana. So a devotee, after giving up his body, does not accept the material body, but returns back home, back to Godhead. We are always in danger because at any moment death can take place. And it is not only Gajendra, the king of elephants, was afraid of death. Everyone should fear death because everyone is caught by the crocodile of time and may die at any moment. If you recollect the pastime of Gajendra, Gajendra was a very, very happy elephant, very majestic, almost like the king of the Trikota Mountains. And he was with his family. He never thought about anything. But when the crocodile came, when the entire pastime happened, he really saw death. So the best course, therefore, is to seek the shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, and be saved from the struggle of existence in this material world, in which one repeatedly takes birth. So if you deep dive into this pastime, you will see that Indradumna Maharaj did not commit any offense. He was in deeper meditation and he was practicing deeper meditation. But just because it was perceived by the rishi that he did not pay respects to him, he cursed him to become an elephant. Prabhupada says that the curse offered to Indradumna Maharaj is because of the hands of the Lord, presence of the hands of the Lord. The Lord wanted Indradumna Maharaj to come back quicker in the next birth so that he performed this Leela and awarded this punishment. Now, if you look at this, you may conclude that, he was practicing such deep meditation. Why is that he's been awarded to him? So that's how the difference between a devotee understanding the subject matter versus a non-devotee understanding the subject matter. So we'll take another example. We'll take this example from Chitraketu Maharaj. Prabhupada writes, very brilliant it is. The Lord is very kind and affectionate towards his devotees, and therefore a devotee in any condition is not subjected to the results of karma. A devotee never aspires for the heavenly planets, but the heavenly planets, liberation, hell are non-different for a devotee. That means whatever Lord has made an arrangement in the life of a devotee, it is accepted as Mahaprasad. The devotee never distinguishes between suffering and happiness in his life, and that's what Prabhupada is trying to conclude. A devotee is always eager to return back home, back to Godhead, and remain there as an eternal associate of the Lord. This ambition becomes increasingly prevalent in the heart, and he does not care about the changes in the material nature. So what does this mean? Suddenly you see there are happiness in our life, suddenly there's our sadness in our life. Not only personally in our life, even due to the environmental changes. For example, there could be war, right? We could become very anxious about what's going to happen. So these are called as material variegatedness, and devotee is never bothered. If you read the life of Prabhupada, you will see that there was World War II during that time, and he was never shaken by any of those events. And in fact, he was happily chanting the names of Krishna. The Lord wanted Chitraketu to return to Godhead as soon as possible. So the pastime of Chitraketu, what he was doing, he just made one small mistake. What's the mistake he made? That he just smiled at Parvati sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva, right? And for which Prabhupada writes, look at this comment. He says, Vishnu Chakravarti comments that Maharaj Chitraketu being cursed by Parvati should be considered the mercy of the Lord. The Lord wanted Chitraketu to return to Godhead as soon as possible. Therefore, he terminated all reactions of his past deeds. Acting through the heart of Parvati, look at this comment. Acting through the heart of Parvati, the Lord situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, cursed Chitraketu so that he ends all his material reactions. As a result, Chitraketu was born as Vritsasura, right? And the pastime ended and he went back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada writes that he returned back to home, back to Godhead. So the key statement is Lord Krishna acted through the heart of Parvati and spoke and gave that curse to Chitraketu. So you see, in every event that happens in our life, there is hands of the Lord that actually makes changes in our life. But devotees who have seen through this, who are matured in their consciousness, will see the hands of the Lord rather than concluding their anger on a specific person, saying that, oh, okay, he is the one who's causing problems. So that is the difference between mature consciousness versus immature consciousness. So you can see this is a great example. Okay. So we'll take another example. So this I will take it from the story of Ambarish Maharaj. You know the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj, right? So what is the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj? He just took water. And how much water he took? Prabhupada writes that, he consulted with the subjects, his ministers, the rishis. They said, okay, you can take water. And how much water you can take? A drop of water. How do you measure a drop of water? He opens his hands and then half folds his hand, and then there is a small dent that is formed here. And he says, how much our water holds here? That is considered to be a drop of water. You take only that much, it is equivalent to breaking the fast as well as continuing the fast. So that way you will please Durvasa and no way you're committing an offense. So what did Ambarish do? Exactly followed after consultation. He was not even whimsical to act according to his own thoughts. So after consultation, what did he do? He took water, and as a result, what happened? Durvasa created a fiery demon. Now imagine, oh Prabhuji, what is this? If I take water, will I get capital punishment? A fiery demon coming and attack me, right? So what sort of story is this Bhagavatam teaching us? So that's the kind of contradictory conclusion that one may come under. So hence, Prabhupada talks about, he says, the protection is offered devotee even from the very beginning of devotional service. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. Lord is the knower of the past, present, and the future. So the Lord knew this pastime or this action of Durvasa. So what he did, he already placed the chakra, the Sudarshan chakra, in protection of. Now, how Sudarshan chakra protected him? When the fiery demon came, actually, if you look at the description, the fiery demon, the entire body is fully made of fire. There's nothing else apart from the fire. But Sudarshan chakra is so amazing that he even destroys that fiery demon with the same another fire and converts that fire into ashes. So first time you will see a fire becoming ashes. So you can see that how the Lord protects. Now the Lord says, he says, this is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 18.6 is Aham tum sharva papebhyo mokshaya shame. Protection begins immediately. We always think, oh, protection by us, for us, will happen only we become pure devotees. No, Prabhupada confirms. The day you begin your chanting, the day you begin your surrender process to Lord Vishnu, Prabhupada confirms that protection from the Lord begins. But we may not have the maturity to understand how the Lord is protecting us, but the action of the Lord has already begun. And that's the biggest assurance. So hence he says, the Lord is so kind and merciful that he gives the devotee proper guidance in all protection. Dadami buddhiyoham tam yena mamupayantite. So and thus the devotee very peacefully makes solid progress in Krishna consciousness without outward disturbances. A serpent may be very angry and ready to bite, but the fierce snake is helpless when faced by the blazing fire in the forest. Although the enemy of a devotee may be very strong, he is compared to an Agni serpent before the fire of devotion service. So what does it mean? There could be a lot of serpents in the forest, but if there's a forest fire, all these serpents, they get burnt and they just die away, convert into ashes. So similarly, there could be serpents around us, but by we practicing devotion service, the fire of devotion service can burn all these serpents away. So from this, again, you see, very contradictory, right? The Lord wanted the protection of Ambarish Maharaj. Even though there was a small mistake, you see how the Lord protects. We cannot misunderstand the conclusions and the message of Bhagavatam. That's why it's important to read Bhagavatam under guidance. Then our understanding will be perfect. Then practice of devotion also will be perfect. Okay. So we will take the conclusive pastime of this is the pastime of Shringi and Parikshit Maharaj. Now let's look at the mistake of Parikshit Maharaj. Mistake was very, very simple. Because he felt he was not respected, he just offered that to a dead snake skin. right? Generally, the snakes have the practice of removing their skin away. They keep changing their skin and then going. So it is actually an abandoned skin. And that's what he offered as a garland to him. For which what? Capital punishment was offered. Look at the capital punishment. 7 days you'll die. Right? But that was the plan of the Lord. And that's what Sukadeva Goswami is trying to tell Parikshit. It is the hands of the Lord that is there. And that's why he wanted you to return back home, back to Godhead. And Lord performed the Leela. So the point to understand is we can have many practices in our life on the platform of devotion. But we understand the hands of the Lord in every aspect of our devotional life, then you will see that you are no more chanchalam in your heart. You're always steady state. You keep moving forward. Any of these disturbances, they do not cause any anxiety in our hearts. Let's take the greatest Govardhan Leela. In Govardhan Leela, we are always talking about what? The pastime that the Lord is protecting the Vrajavasis. Not only the Vrajavasis, including cows, calves, monkeys, everyone he is protecting. Okay. So when he saw the danger for the Vrajavasis, what did Lord do? He performed one of the most amorous Leela, the greatest Govardhan Leela. He lifted Govardhan 7 days, 7 nights, and he just protected from the wrath of Indra. Okay, so that's what we know. But the Shastra also teaches us what? When we offend a Vaishnava, that's considered the greatest Vaishnava aparad. Now look at Brajavasis, the most dearest, almost they're associates of the Lord. And Indra is offending them. What sort of aparad it may be? So the natural thought is the consequences, what sort of pain that Indra is going to go through. But what did Lord do? Lord actually protected the pride of Indra. Because Indra was having so much of pride that leads to his fall down, Lord protected the pride of Indra and make him realize the mistake he was doing. And of course, the pastime of Govinda Kund and Surabhi and all those things that happened, right? So every action of the Lord, you see how he protects our consciousness. He protects our consciousness, he uplifts the consciousness and brings up to us a greatest aspect of devotion service. Rupa Goswami, in his Nectar of Devotion, the first chapter, he talks about 6 characteristics of devotion service as spoken from the scriptures. So let me read the 6 characteristics. Very important to understand, because by the time we come to the consciousness of Yashodama, so it is good to understand this. Pure devotion service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material miseries. Keyword is pure devotion service. So we need to aspire to reach pure devotion service. Second, pure devotion service is also the beginning of all auspiciousness in one life. Third, pure devotion service automatically puts one in a transcendental pleasure. That means we are in the material plane. The Lord is not in the material plane. The Lord is in the transcendental plane. By practice of pure devotion, we also move our consciousness to transcendental plane. And that is when we can see the Lord or interact with the Lord eye to eye. When we do that, Krishna is called Govinda. All our senses are so much pleased. And we will see auspiciousness, happiness, state of bliss, all those things. Pure devotion service is very rarely achieved. It is not so easy to reach that, because the first stage of devotion service is what about? Oh, Prabhuji, I have to follow 4 regulative principles. Okay. Follow some vratas on Ekadasi and appearance, disappearance day of the Acharyas. Okay. Read Shastras. Okay. But the ultimate, the final point of pure devotion service is all about the mind. What Krishna says? Krishna says, remember me. Remember me at all circumstances, including at the time of leaving your body. And that is the most difficult point, right? You can do all of the things very easily to take. So to reach that final stage is the most complicated. And hence, Prabhupada writes that pure devotion service is rarely achieved, because how many people can control the mind and perform both material and spiritual activities without a fruitive mentality in our heart? Because today you can do spiritual activities also with a fruitive mentality in heart. So that also must be negated. Those pure devotion service derides even the concept of liberation. When we reach that state, we go beyond liberation. What's going beyond liberation? I don't care whether I'm in hell or heaven. I don't care where I am. whatever position my Lord puts me into, my only goal of life is to serve Him for His pleasure. See, that's going beyond moksha. Okay? Moksha, in general, is the 5 types of moksha, relief from something, right? But here we are not talking about relief from something. Protect our spiritual identity and continue to serve the Lord even beyond reaching the spiritual planets. Okay. Then finally, Krishna concludes. What does he concludes? That pure devotion service even attracts Krishna, right? So that means Krishna gets so much, bought into pure devotion service that is even ready to serve the devotees who are into pure devotion. So that's what he demonstrated to his close associates. If you read Bhagavatam, you will see how Krishna became a servant to his devotees. The devotees are able to bind him, are able to capture him. That's what it is. No, capture does not mean physically someone is able to capture Krishna. No, that's what it does not mean. It means that by heart they win Krishna's love. That's exactly what Mother Yashoda did. When Mother Yashoda did bind Krishna, the rope to the martyr, it is not the physical aspect of a rope and Krishna and a martyr and binding. It is she binding Krishna with her love. It is that love that captivates the Lord. So that's the most important aspect of the key takeaway. So Krishna is all attractive, we know that, but pure devotional service even attracts that Supreme Lord Krishna. Okay. So what did Yashodama demonstrated? She demonstrated the highest aspects of Prema Bhakti on the platform of maternal love. When she demonstrated, Krishna wanted to do 2 things. One, surrender to her, and secondly, wanted to glorify her. He put Yashodama in such a glorious state that everywhere today, in the month of Karthik, people remember glories of Yashodama. When Sukadeva Goswami was talking about it, it attracted Parikshit so much that he is inquiring that what is it that she did that she was able to feed the breast milk to Krishna, that you were able to bind even Krishna to a martyr. What is it that she did? Can you please highlight me some of the glories? And that resulted in Sukadeva Goswami talking about this Leela, the deliverance of the Yamalarjuna trees, this Leela of Dhamma Bandhana Leela to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. So now what we will do is we will now not go into Dhamma Bandhana Leela straight away. We will first go to a sequence of things that happened in Karthik Mas because we want to know why Karthik is glorious. We know out of all the months, Karthik is the best month. But why it is the best month and how various great pastimes of the Lord happened, that we will just go through quick sequence of events. So that will refresh our memory. So which is the first event that happens in the Karthik month? Sharad Purnima. So Sharad Purnima is an event, the start of Ras Leela. Right? In fact, Ras Leela happens all the time. Ras Leela doesn't stop. But there are 2 Ras Leelas that happens which are called Maharas Leela. Right? So one is Sharad Purnima and another is Vasant Panchami. So in Sharad Purnima, the Ras Leela happens in Vamshivat. During Vasant Panchami, it happens in Chandra Sarovar. So these are considered to be the topmost of Ras Leelas. So what happens in Sharad Purnima? The devotees of Krishna, the gopis, so much attracted to the Lord. How much they're attracted? Their consciousness is always about Krishna. They may be physically serving their husbands, they're taking care of the children, they're doing some household activities, but that is the physical body's activity, but their consciousness is always remembering Krishna. Krishna goes to the forest and he returns back in the evening. When he returns back in the evening, the glories of the Lord, the Rupa, the form, how he is, the color, his pitambar, his flute, his peacock feather, his garland, everything is glorified. So this glory is so much like impressions in the heart of the gopis. What they're thinking, they're always mesmerized about that Rupa of the Lord and they're continuously waiting. In those olden days, those doors were not like single piece doors, right? So you used to see that frames of doors have been stacked together, connected together, and you'll see there'll be gaps in between, right? So while the gopis are sweeping the floors, they would peep in through the gaps and to see, has Krishna come? Is Krishna there? Right? So that's the state of consciousness they would be in. When a gopi goes to take water out of the well, she'll be so much in, the consciousness of the Lord that she will take the water out of the well, and she will not even know how much water is coming. She'll keep on doing that again and again until someone comes and shakes her up. Hey, what are you doing? So much of water you're wasting. Raghunath Das Goswami writes that they would take kajal and apply kajal, you apply kajal on your eyelids, right? They would not even know what they're doing. They would apply kajal on their lips, and they will apply their lipstick on their eyes, right? So that's the state of consciousness they are in. So much on Krishna. And he also says, some of the gopis, they interchange. They put their top in the bottom and put their bottom onto the top. So that is how their depth of love for Krishna was. When Krishna took the Venu, took the flute, and on the night of Sharad Purnima, when he played the flute, the sound that came out of the flute was so mesmerizing that it reached the hearts, the ears of every gopi. Now, you know how it was. Each and every gopi heard it as a personal invitation, Krishna calling by her name. Right? So imagine the Supreme Lord Krishna, my Prananatha. He is calling me so personally. That too for what? For Rasalila. What do you think a gopi is going to do? She's just going to throw everything that she has and she's going to run. That's exactly happened on the day of Sharad Purnima. Right? So they all went and they're running. They didn't care. They didn't care about the household duties. They didn't care about their services that needs to be pending. They just quickly, whatever they want to do, they did, and then they ran. Ran to Vamshivat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what does he say in Shikshashtakam? Fourth verse. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. So if you look at this, the consciousness of the gopis are no fruitive mentality, be it the material plane or in the spiritual plane. Absolutely no fruitive mentality. And what are they doing? They just exhibiting the highest level of prema, right? So as devotees, we also we should take these ideas from how gopis demonstrated Krishna Bhakti and try to see how much we can practice in our life. And that is what is important. A story remains a story if we don't realize the key aspects of the story. Otherwise, it looks like, so nice, Krishna lifted Govardhan. Govardhan size was so much, this, that, this, that. So we'll depend more on the attributes of the Govardhan, but not why and what the change of consciousness. So that is important. So devotees should start focusing on the key messages of a pastime rather than just enjoying the pastime itself. Of course, enjoying pastime over Krishna is still good, but higher than that is to get your consciousness deeper and deeper into this. Prabhupada writes, he uses the word abhyasa. Abhyasa means it is not that the gopis demonstrated these attributes once, but they continuously, again and again, again and again, all the time, they were in this state of consciousness. So that's why the position of gopis are considered to be the supreme and the topmost, because you cannot imagine that state of consciousness demonstrated by anyone else under any conditions. If you read the Gopi Geet, the Gopi Geet 16, sloka number 16, right? This is very interesting. When all these gopis, they ran to Vamshivat, that too in the midnight, right? In the midnight, and that too it was day of Amavasya. No, Gaurpurni. So it was quite bright. So they went there, and Krishna is looking at all of them and he's asking, it is so late in the night, what are you doing here? It doesn't speak good about you all to approach a boy who's alone, that too in the midnight, right? So that stuns the gopis by saying, oh, Krishna, you called for us and we are here and you're talking like this. So in Gopi Geet, this verse very brilliantly, they speak, Pati Sutanvaya Bratur Bandhavan Ati Vilangaya Tenta Achyutagata Gatividastavo Gita Mohita Gita Vayoshita Kasta Jenishi. The gopis are asking Krishna that you're the one who called us, and after coming here, you're abandoning us, right? So then they're telling Krishna, this is very unfair. So the pastime goes, and Krishna performs the Ras Leela. So we'll not go into the details. Krishna performs the last Leela, and even in the Ras Leela, Krishna takes Radharani and then he leaves. Then after some time, he also leaves Radharani and then he goes away. Right? So this Ras Leela happened in the month of Karthik. So that's how Karthik starts, the first day of Karthik. Okay. So Karthik is considered to be topmost. The Shastra writes, Na Kartika Samomasam. Na Kartika Samamasam. Right? So there is no month equivalent to Karthik in any of the worlds, not just in this world. In any of the worlds, there is no month equivalent to Karthik. Right? Okay. So Karthik, the preceding deity is Srimati Radharani. So why Srimati Radharani? So Karthik, Srimati Radharani is also called as Urjvareshwari. Urjeshwari. So Urjva means what? Urjva means strength. So what is strength here? Strength to perform devotion service. So Radharani gives the strength to perform greater devotion service in the month of Kartik. So that means people who are taking vrata, who are taking various steps to go ahead in devotion service. You want to chant more, you want to read more, you want to go to many programs to connect many people, you want to take up austerities, everything. It is the strength of, it is the mercy of Radharani that is awarded to us that we are able to practice this special Kartik month's austerities. Okay. Radharani is also daughter of Kirtida, right? So she's a daughter of Kirtida, and then she's also called as Kirtika. He's also called as Kirtika Kumari, right? So because she's also called as Kirtika Kumari, this month also becomes Kirtika became Kartika, right? So that's why it's also called Kartika. Okay. So Prabhupada makes us to realize that the joy of giving is the greatest than the joy of receiving, right? In the earlier consciousness of material consciousness, what we used to have, we were very greedy. What's the greed? Oh, I want more. I want more. I want more. Never was there a satisfaction. But turned that into philosophy. There is no satisfaction in that. The real satisfaction is in the joy of giving, and Krishna gives everything in the month of Kartika. So that's why it is good to go visit these holy places in the month of Kartika, and the mercy of Krishna is flowing like anything. It is intelligent for one to capture that mercy of Krishna because he's just giving in the month of Kartik. Okay. Now, Raghunath Das Goswami in his Tavavali, he talks about glories of Kartik month. He tells that the number of gopis came in some shastras, it is at 16,000, but actually it was like unlimited, like millions of gopis. They come in order to play the Ras Leela with Krishna. So that means it is something very remarkable. Unless the activity of Ras Leela is not so attractive, you'll not see many gopis coming and participating in it, right? So that's what it is. The next Leela is about Krishna beginning to go to the forest to graze the cows. The first day of that event happened in the month of Kartika. So what is that event? That he got the permission from Nanda Maharaj. Yes, now you are elderly enough to take the cows and go to the forest. So Krishna told Mother Yashoda, next day, tomorrow, I want to go to graze the cows. Yashoda said, no, my dear child, we can't do like that. We have to call Pujari or an astrologer and check whether the right muhurtam and the right day is all present, then you can go. Immediately by the Achinta Shakti of the Lord, Gargamuni manifests and he comes there. He said, oh, I am here. Oh, Gargaji, please come. Then he takes the Shastra, he reads as if he is reading. Then he tells, tomorrow is the best day for Krishna to start going to the grazing of the cows. So then Yashoda accepts. Then what she wants to do? She wants to buy shoes for the Lord. Krishna said that, oh, if you're going to buy shoes for me, then you have to buy shoes for the 9 lakh cows and other Gopakumaras. But the difficult part is humans have 2 legs, but the cows has 4 legs. So you have to multiply into 18 lakhs pair of shoes. We had to buy so much. So then, hearing this comment made by Krishna, all the cows were so much connected with care and love that they felt. So what they did, they went and smashed all the stones and the pebbles and the rocks in Vrindavan. They made into powder, right? So people who visited Vrindavan, you can see that you can go to places like Raman Reti and so many places. You'll see the soil of Vrindavan is so soft. Huh? In fact, one devotee came and told me, Prabhuji, how is this like a talcum powder that you can apply it on the face? So soft it is, right? So that much soft that none of them wanted to wear shoes or anything. They just walked barefoot, right? So this event happened the month of Karthik. Okay. After this event, the next following event is Gopashtami. So what happened to Gopashtami? So Radharani saw, oh, all these Gopakumaras are going to forest of Vrindavan. What about me? I am also supposed to accompany. What she did, she also dressed herself like a Gopakumara, and without the knowledge, she started to join the team to go to the forest for grazing the cows. So this day happened also, this pastime also happened in month of Kartika. So what ISKCON temples they do? On this day of Gopashtami, they would also dress Srimati Radharani like a Gopakumara, right? Maybe they will use pancha and I don't know what sort of dress they don't know. I don't know. So, but she looks like a Gopakumara. So that's we've seen, and it looks very gorgeous to see her in that dress also. Okay. Now the next event that happened in Kartik is manifestation of Radha Kund and Shyama Kund, right? So how did this manifestation happen? So when Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan, he visited Vrindavan. He wanted to go see this place which was called Kali Ket and Gori Ket, right? So people were saying these are the 2 kuntas that are available. And Mahaprabhu went and saw them, and then he identified them as Radha Kund and Shama Kund. And he told Raghunath Das Goswami, and then later on Jiva Goswami, with his engineering skills, he manifested Radha and Shyamakund. So actually, Radha and Shyamakund manifestation or re-identification happened in the month of Kartik. Okay. Then the next event in Kartik that happened is killing of Narakasura, right? So Narakasura had abducted all the princes, 16,000 odd princes he had abducted, and Krishna goes with Satyabhama, kills Narakasura, and then saves all those queens. And in turn, what those queens say, oh Krishna, who will marry us because we've been, under the captivation of this Asura. So who will marry us? And Krishna marries all of them, right? So that's how this manifestation also happened. Okay. Now, the manifestation of Radha and Shyamakund originally that happened in the Krishna Leela was the pastime of Arishtashvara, right? So we know that pastime of Arishtashvara demon came and Krishna killed him. And all the gopis, they commented, oh Krishna, you've killed a bull in this month of Kartik, or not in month of Kartik, you killed a bull, so for which you need to purify yourself, prashchita. And what Krishna did, he actually manifested 68,000 sthana tirthas. Okay, they all manifested, and then it formed 2 kundas, that is Radha Kund and Shama Kund. And you see that also happened in the month of Kartik, right? And it happened in the month of Chaitra actually. Then comes Bahulashtami. Bahulashtami is the day where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu identifies Radha and Shamakund, so which is celebrated. So today, what people do on Bahulashtami is they go to Radha Kund and they take a dip. And it is considered that on Bahulashtami, whoever, even you can do prokshan, it is still fine. Whoever takes a dip or take prokshan of Radha Kund, they go back home, back to God, and they never return to this material world, right? So that is another glory, this Bahulashtami in the month of Kartik. Okay. Then comes from Rama Leela, you see the return of Mother Sita and Lord Ram to Ayodhya back. After all those pastimes of Vanavas and killing of Ravana, they come back to Ayodhya, and that also happens in the month of Kartik. You see, non-stop. Every day in Kartik is actually a festival. Right? That's the glory of Kartik. Okay. Then we have the pastime of Bali Vamana. So that Leela also happened in the month of Kartik. Then Tulasi Saligrama pastime, right? So Vishnu became Shaligrama and Vrinda Devi became Tulasi Marani. So that also happened in the month of Kartik. So the entire pastime happened in the month of Kartik, right? Now, apart from that, you know, we'll just rewind back something to the Samudra Manthan Leela. In the Samudra Manthan Leela, uh, you know, we know the churning of the Milky Ocean. One side we have Devatas, one side we have the Asuras, right? And the Samudra Manthan Leela happened. When the churning of the Milky Ocean happened, Lakshmi manifested, right? So Lakshmi manifested, and that manifestation of Lakshmi also happened in the month of Kartik. And today also people celebrate by performing what is called as Lakshmi Puja in the month of Kartik, right? I think you do that 2 days before Diwali or something like that. So that also happens. Okay. Danteras. So Danteras also is celebrated month of Kartik. So what is Danteras? Danteras is when Dhanvantri came out of the Milky Ocean, and then he gave the pot of Amrut, right? So he gave the pot of Amrut, and in fact there are two events. The first is when he gave the pot of Amrut, and that's considered to be because Amrut is life, right? So when he gave that, people celebrate that as Danteras, and what they do, they buy a lot of valuable things on the day of Danteras. They also engage those things that they buy in service of Lord Krishna, right? So that's also a very important event that happens. But of course, people who non-devotees who do not know the real meaning behind Danteras, they buy things, but they use it for themselves. So that's the only difference. And when Dhanvantri came with that pot of Amrut, Krishna was so pleased because all the effort done by the Devatas and others, it resulted in the accomplishment of this. And so the tears from the Lord fell into the pot, and that resulted in manifestation of Tulasi Maran, right? So that also happened in the month of Kartik. Okay. Then after the Amrit, once it came out, what happened? The Asuras wanted to steal it, right? They stole it and then they ran, and Lord took the form of Mohini Murti. So that also happened. The pastime of Mohini Murti happened in the month of Kartik. You see how many pastimes in the month of Kartik? Okay. Now Krishna also kills many demons in the month of Kartik. So he kills Kesi demon, he kills Vyomasura. He also kills Kamsa in the month of Kartik, right? And Akrura, who came to take Krishna from from Vrindavan to Mathura, he also comes in the month of Kartik only. So in the month of Kartik, he comes and he takes Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. And Krishna Balaram, they show the form of Shesha Shai to Akrura. That also happens in the month of Kartik, right? So wonderful. Okay. Then Krishna also kills this demon called Lavanasura. So recently, when we went to Vrindavan, we were staying in a retreat center. In the retreat center, we observed that the buildings of the retreat center, many places, there were salt formation to a large extent. It was actually damaging the building. So I was asking Maharaj, why is this happening, and how come we see it's all salt water in Vrindavan? How come there is so much of salt water here? How come this water is not sweet? And we are very close to Yamuna. We are very close to other rivers also. So, which is really astonishing, right? Because if you're closer to the beach or an ocean, yeah, salt water is acceptable. Yeah, it could be there. But Vrindavan is nowhere close to the ocean. It's somewhere exactly in the middle. So that time, Maharaj explained the pastime of Lavanasura, right? So Krishna kills Lavanasura. So Lavana means salt. And, after he dies and his body, just decomposes, it produces so much of salt that the entire region is fully salt in nature. So how much ever you bore, you'll get only salt water. You won't get sweet water, right? So really amazing, fantastic pastime, right? Many times we feel, oh, these numbers are beyond human beings' comprehension. 16,000 gopis, 1 crore gopis, how is it possible like that? But you see reality, many of these things you can see reality, right? Okay. Then Durva Maharaj. So Durva Maharaj performed his austerity, right, in Madhuban, right? So that Leela, when he performed austerity for many months, especially in Chaturmas, and then at the end of his austerity, Krishna manifested, right? And he touched the conch on his head, and he saw that vision of the Lord, and he immediately composed many prayers glorifying the Lord. So that event also happened in the month of Karthik, right? So you see, so wonderful. And then we just discussed about Ambarish Maharaj pastime, right? So in Ambarish Maharaj, what happened? There was the story of Durvasa carrying fiery demon and the Sudarshan Chakra coming to protect him. And after Sudarshan Chakra kills the fiery demon, what does Sudarshana do? It starts to chase Durvasa. So Durvasa ran. He ran place after place after place. You know, he ran for 1 month, and he ran the entire Kartik month. And the end of the Kartik month, the last day of Kartik, he actually surrenders, and he surrenders at the feet of Ambarish, and that is when Sudarshan withdraws. And that place is Vishram Ghat. If you go to Govardhan, you will see Vishram Ghat, and that is a place where Durvasa surrenders. And that also happened in the month of Kartik, right? So you see, unlimited pastimes. The biggest, another pastime is Krishna says, Aham Bhakta Paradina. He declares a statement that I'm conquered by my devotee. He declared this statement in the month of Kartik, right? So that's also really wonderful. Then we also have Bhishma Panchaka, the last 5 days, where Bhishma Pitama offered Tarpana. So many devotees follow Bhishma Panchaka also. So it also happened in the month of Kartik, the last 5 days of Kartik. Okay. Then Radha Rani, Srimati Radharani is coronated with a name called Vrindavaneshwari, right? It happened in Imlitala. And the coronation of Radharani's Vrindavaneshwari also happened in the month of Kartik, and henceforth she was called Vrindavaneshwari. Right, so that also happened in the month of Kartik. Then we have many other pastimes. We also have Govinda Kund. So Govinda Kund, you know the pastime that after the defeat of Indradev by Krishna in that Giriraj pastime, so he descends. He doesn't have a face. He descends and he's wanting to seek mercy of the Lord, pays respects and obeisances, seek forgiveness, everything. And after that, he pleases the Lord with Surabhi, and that Abhishek, that pastime that happened in the month of Kartik. So if you go to Govinda Kund, so in the month of Kartik is very special. Okay. Then this pastime of Uttana Ekadasi, which comes, is Monday Uttana Ekadasi? So that Monday Uttana Ekadasi is also very special. Rama Ekadasi, that means the next Ekadasi, the last Ekadasi will be Uttana Ekadasi. So that comes in month of Kartik. So in Uttana Ekadasi, what happens? The demigods come and complain to Krishna that, oh, the Vedas have been stolen by Shankar, so please protect us. So Krishna actually takes the form of Matsya Avatar, and he protects the Vedas. Then he kills Shankar. And then he comes to Badrikashrama and then tells all the rishis, now dive into the water and retrieve the Vedas because I protected it now. And then he meets all of them in Prayag. So this entire pastime of Krishna protecting the Vedas happened in the month of Kartik. And that's why Krishna says in the Gita, right? Rasoham. So Krishna says, I am the water, the taste of water. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhashmi shashi shuryayo. So you see, in the month of Kartik, it is also told that the purity, the sanctity of water is very high because Krishna performs the Matsya Avatar. And hence, it is also said that it is good for devotees to take bath twice, thrice in the day to get the sanctity of the water and the month of Kartik. So like that, these pastimes go. Okay. Then for us, the most important instruction, the great instruction that happened from His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, at least, this is very important to Srila Prabhupada. This happened in the year 1935 at Radhakund, when His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Thakura gave that instruction to Srila Prabhupada. What is instruction? If at all you have money, print books. So that also happened in this month of Karthik, right? So you see, Karthik is so wonderful. Now, when we went to, most of you must have visited Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. So if you go to Radha Damodar temple, we were talking to one of the temple pujaris or someone like that. Then he was explaining us one pastime which I never knew. Really amazing pastime. So you see Radha Damodar deities. These Radha Damodar deities were actually, we know that Radha Damodar deities were taken care by Jiva Goswami. He worshipped Jiva Goswami worshipped those deities. But actually, these deities were carved and sculpted by Rupa Goswami, and it was handed over to Jiva Goswami in the month of Karthik. That is also very glorious about this Karthik. And the Pujari was telling that actually, if you see, there is a belt, there's a golden belt that they tie Radharani and Krishna. Right? So what he said was, in Goloka Vrindavan, not Bamba Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna, Radharani ties Krishna to a tree with a golden belt, and that also happens in the month of Karthik. Right? So the limit of the glories of Karthik, is so much that you should perform Karthik Vrata every day like a festival. Every day is a festival in Karthik. That's why Karthik is glorious. And we also know the Adi Ruha, the Amalaki tree, which manifested because of the tears of Brahmaji on this Mother Earth. So that is the first tree that actually manifested. So what people do, devotees, many of them, they take this Amala fruit and then they make like a lamp out of Amala fruit, and then they show it to the deities. Sometimes some of them they even show to Akash, like Krishna is in the form of manifestation, form of sky. So they also offer those. So you see, many of these things have month of Kartik. The greatest Kartik Mas Leela is the Dama Bandhana Leela. So in Dama Bandhana Leela, there are two important aspects that we want to focus on. The first focus is on Parikshit asking Sukadev, what is so glorious about Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj that such amorous pastimes and Leela happened? And Krishna actually sucked the milk of Mother Yashoda. We see that there are many yogis and, many rishis performing austerities for years, thousands and thousands of years, and not even able to touch or get close to the lotus feet of the Lord. But how is that Yashoda is getting such an opportunity and position, right? So for which Sukadeva Goswami answers. So what we will do is we'll just go to the slokas. So I'm going to read key purports and few slokas from the Canto 10, Chapter 8. It starts from sloka 45, right? Very, very brilliant it is. Okay. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura writes, so nectarian write-ups on this. Okay. Text 8.45. Traya chopanishad shadbhischa sankhya yogaischa satvatai upagiyamana mahatmyam harim samanyatatmajam. So let's read the translation purport of this. As stated in the Gita 15.15 by the Supreme Lord, the purpose of studying the Vedas is Vedaischa Sarvais Ahameva Vedyam. That means to know me. Chaitanya Prabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami, he talked about three aspects of understanding the Lord or building the relationship with the Lord, right? The first he talked about is Sambandha. Sambandha is to really understand what is my relationship and see how I can establish. Okay. The next after Sambandha is Avideya. In Avideya, what we do, whatever relationship that we have established, we practice that relationship, right? So practice of devotion happens. And he talked about the third aspect, which is Prayojana. In Prayojana, we, because of our intense practices for a long period of time, Krishna makes us to realize, right? The more we practice, the more Lord reveals himself to us. Without practice of devotion, there is no way that you can understand the Lord. Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam. So he says, even though Gita is Raja Vidya, but it is secretive. That secretiveness of the Gita is the realization aspect. It is not just the book reading. So when can one realize? Is by practice of devotion, right? So that is when you understand the love of Godhead. That comes to Prayojana. The word Prayojana means necessities. The ultimate necessity is explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prema Pumartha Mahan. The greatest necessity of human being is the achievement of love of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let me repeat this again. The greatest achievement is can be achieved by a living entity is love of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here we see that Mother Yashoda is on the highest state of necessity, for she completely absorbed the love of Krishna. When Krishna came and showed his mouth, which had the Brahmanda, she was astonished for a moment and she went unconscious. But the moment she got up, she said, "Oh, he is my dear loving son, Krishna." None of these attributes that disturbed her or came to her consciousness. But look at Devaki and Vasudev. When Krishna manifested in Mathura in jail, Krishna manifested in the 400 form, they immediately paid obeisances to the Lord because they did not see as a son, they saw as a Lord. You see the difference between state of consciousness of Devaki versus state of consciousness of Yashoda. When Parvati asked Mahadev, Shiva, what is considered to be the greatest in devotion? What does he reply? He says, Aradhanam Sarvesham, Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Tasmat Parataram Devi, Tadyanam Samarchanam. So he tells two things. The greatest in life is to perform Aradhanam to Vishnu, and there is nothing supreme to that. Of course, he concludes by saying, greater than that is worship of the devotees of the Lord. Here, Mother Yashoda performs no upasana. There are three kandas that we cross to come into the stages of bhakti: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. But Yashoda, you see, she never went through any of these stages. Straight away, she is beyond the stage of upasana. And that is the state of bhakti she demonstrates. Therefore, Prabhupada concludes that her position as the topmost devotee, demonstrating what is called as maternal love. Mother Yashoda passes all these stages. She comes to the platform loving Krishna as a beloved child, and therefore she is accepted to be as one of the highest in the spiritual realization. Right? So that's what Prabhupada writes. In the next sloka, something very brilliant he explains. Okay. Having heard of the great fortune of Mother Yashoda, Parikshit Maharaj is again inquiring now. What is he inquiring? O learned Brahmana, Mother Yashoda's breast milk was sucked by Supreme Lord. What is it that she has done so much auspicious that she was given this opportunity? Can you please explain? Right? So, first, as a mother, as a position. Second, is to become very intimate with the Lord. Right? So, Prabhupada writes, as stated in the Gita, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana shukritino arjuna. Artho jignashur artharti jnanisha bhardarshava. Four kinds of people come, right? And how these four kinds of people come? They go through these many stages of evolution. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdayate. That means the highest realm of realization is, oh, the Supreme Personality is a person, he is Bhagavan. One can actually have a direct relationship with him. You experience him. That's the perfection realization, and that is when you actually start to demonstrate devotion service. So, but here, Yashoda, Prabhupada says she's already surpassed all of them. It is not that she went through these stages, she already surpassed all of them. What kind of pious activities they performed in the past lives by which they achieved such a stage of perfection? Of course, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda are accepted as father and mother, yet Mother Yashoda was most fortunate than Nanda Maharaj. Why? Because as a father, he was a Vaishya. He kept doing some of his activities because even though he's a Vaishya, he is like the head of all the Brajavasis in that place, like a zamindar you can consider, um, directing them and then taking them, about how do we do things. So that means there were many times he was separated from the Lord because of his duties. But Mother Yashoda was never separated from the Lord, especially in the childhood pastime. She was always 24 hours with him, 24 hours thinking of him and doing devotional activities. So Prabhupada concludes that the position of Yashoda was so fortunate that she had 24-hour association with the Lord. Even Nanda Maharaj could not get that. And even Devaki and Vasudev could not get that because after the birth, what happened? The Lord got transported to Vrindavan, and Devaki and Vasudev could not experience the Balya Leela of the Supreme Lord. Okay. Sukadeva Goswami says, to follow the orders of Brahma, the greatest of these Vasus, Drona and Dhara, they manifested onto this planet. Okay, so how they manifested? Oh, my Lord is going to perform activities. So the Lord always descends along with his associates. So Nanda and Yashoda, what they did, they said, oh, before the Lord manifest, we have to go first early. And they manifested ahead of Krishna and created the platform to receive the Lord. So you see, the position of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are eternal, and they are eternal associates with the Lord, and they keep performing these leelas along with the Lord wherever the Lord goes to do his pastimes. Maharaj Parikshit knew this, but he was curious to know from Sukadeva Goswami whether it is possible for any ordinary devotee who can perform sadhana siddhi and still reach the state of nitya siddhi. So from this we can understand that position of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are nitya siddhas, but can a sadhana siddhi achieve that? And Prabhupada says yes, but not completely to that level. An example is Vasudevan Devaki. So they were Krishni and Sutapa in the previous birth. And by performance of sadhana bhakti for so many years, they were able to get that mercy to be born, the Lord to be born to them, and they can be parents of the Lord. But still, you see, they got some mercy in the later part of the life in Dwaraka, but in the Balya Leela, they could not get that, they could not experience the Leelas of the Lord, right? So that is the difference in position between Sadhana Siddhi and Nitya Siddhi. So that's what Prabhupada explains. Conclusion. Dronandara said, please permit us to be born on the planet Earth so that after our appearance, the Supreme Lord, the Personal Godhead, and Master of all planets will also appear. To what purpose? To spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life. So that those born in the material world can very easily be delivered in the miserable condition by accepting devotional service. So that means what is the goal of Nanda and Yashoda? It was very clearly to establish devotion service. Now, this is the beauty. When Lord, in his Balya Leela, you see that there were demons continuously being sent by Kamsa. Right from his small child Putana came, continuously there were demons coming every point in time. Now, whenever these demons come, it is not that they are like ordinary person where someone can fight and defeat him. No, they were gigantic. They were very strong. They had some yogic powers. They did so many other things. And that caused definitely tribulations in the heart of the Vrajavasis. So, the goal of Nanda and Yashoda was to give shelter to the Vrajavasis so that the practice of devotion is ultimate. Iti Nandadayo Gopaha Krishna Rama Katammoda. This is what he did. What he did, he continuously talked about Krishna and Rama Katha and engage them in that consciousness where all these material tribulations, like the asuras coming and disturbing them, never caused any pain in the heart of the Brajavasis. So you see the role of personality like Nanda and Yashoda. It is not just caring, giving that maternal affection to Krishna, but they also establish the devotion service among the Brajavasis. So this is a very important key takeaway for us. We may practice devotion as a sadhana bhakti. As sadhakas, we may practice devotion. We may read books, we may chant, we may, celebrate festivals, perform austerities for Ekadasi and all other days. But important is to protect others in their devotional progress is very important. So that is why preaching, preaching about the pastimes of the Lord, preaching, giving the Bhagavad Gita to others. These are all very important aspects for each one of us in our life. So we should take this as a goal. Preaching does not mean you become a stalwart and then give a very high funda class. It is not about that. It is about even the smallest things. So Prabhupada taught us even the smallest thing how can be taught to people about how Supreme Personality of Godhead is, and that should be the goal of one's life, right? So we have two aspects in our life. One is our own sadhana. Second is to spread the glories and the message of Godhead to others, and that is how we can protect the devotion service of people, right? So that's the message. The living entities are struggling to become happy, but unless they follow bhakti cult, it is not possible. Okay, so this is the last section. That leads to Dhamabandhana Leela. When a devotee suffers for Krishna, we are going into higher realm of devotion service. When devotee suffers for Krishna, that suffering is called transcendental enjoyment. Right? It's not about you suffering for yourself. You're suffering for Krishna. Right? What is suffering for Krishna? Okay, if someone came and asked, can you do this service? Our tendency is, if my body is perfect, if the environment is perfect, no rains, no heavy sun, no this, no that, my office is on holiday, no other work, okay, I will do my service. Right? But he's not talking about that. He's talking about under any circumstances, I am ready to suffer, but pleasure of the Lord is important. That's what it says. Unless one becomes a devotee, this cannot be understood. That means the glory of devotion is there in suffering also. The best example that we can think of is the gopis offering, taking the vrata in the month of Karthik. What vrata they took? They went to Katyayani Mataji, Katyayani Devi, and then they said, we want to marry Krishna, we want to take vrata. That was very, very difficult because it was very cold and they have to eat havishya and they have to take bath early in the morning, like 4 o'clock or something like that. Yamuna was so cold, chill. It is difficult even to keep our hands or legs in Yamuna, but they have to go take bath in Yamuna and then come. And that's the kind of austerity. And what they did? For the pleasure of the Lord, for the greater aspect of devotion service. So you see, the level of devotion practiced by the associates of the Lord is incomparable. So what we need to do, we need to take those snippets from them and then see what is it that I can blend in my life so that I can become better and better in devotion. Right? When Krishna exhibited his childhood pastime, not only did Nanda and Yashoda increase their devotional affection, but those in association also increase their devotion. And he says, this is the mood of Vrindavan. So, Prabhupada concludes, whoever follows the activities of Vrindavan will also perfect their life and become great devotees of Lord. So, we have to read these pastimes of Vraj, associate with people of Vraj, and hear from them. And if any devotee goes to Vrindavan and comes back, devotees out of so much of eagerness, oh Prabhu, what happened? What did your Maharaj speak? What lectures he gave? Can you give us some nectar? So that is the mood. So Vrindavan can exist in 5 forms. What are the 5 forms? The first Vrindavan is Goloka Vrindavan, core of Goloka Vrindavan. That is also Vrindavan. The second is the peripheral of Vrindavan. The third level is Bhauma Vrindavan, which we see now here. The fourth is Vrindavan in association of devotees. Wherever devotees are there, wherever Harikatha is discussed, wherever Kirtan is going on, that is also Vrindavan. And the fifth Vrindavan is in your heart, your mind. Whatever you think, whatever state of consciousness, whatever you practice, and that's also Vrindavan. So it is not that you need to go sit in the dham, do these things, but you can practice wherever you are. This is what you understand, right? So this is the conclusion of Srila Prabhupada writing about the position of Yashoda and the message of devotion service from what we learned from the life of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. Okay, so now that comes to understanding the key messages in the Dhamma Bandhana Leela. So is it okay, Prabhu, another 10-15 minutes? Sorry? Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So Dhamma Bandhana Leela. So when did this happen? On the day of Diwali, right? So what is Krishna's age when this Leela happened? He was 3 years and 4 months. So that was Krishna's age, and Krishna was always with his mother, and they were sleeping. And for Diwali day, Mother Yashoda wanted to get up very early in the morning and start to prepare before Krishna gets up. Right? Greatest demonstration of love that she wants to show to Krishna. One thing about Mother Yashoda was she was always thinking, why is that Krishna goes to various houses in Raj and steals butter? So first I will stop that. Why? How will I stop that? Because the butter that I make is not that quality. So what I will do, I'll make really high quality, maybe flavored butter I will make. And so Krishna will remain here and not to perform the stealing activity. But why was Krishna stealing in Raj? Was Krishna stealing the butter? No, he's stealing the heart of the devotees. That was he was doing. He was not stealing butter. He was stealing the heart of the devotees. So Mother Yashoda went to Nanda Maharaj and said that you have so many cows, give me the best of those cows. So she handpicked the best of those cows and she personally had them in the backyard. And she offered these cows with flavored grass. So this flavored grass produced flavored milk. And flavored milk, she wanted to make butter with that and hoping that Krishna would eat that and be fully satisfied. Right? So that was the thought that Mother Yashoda had. So she got up early in the morning and with all the butter she had, the milk she had kept, she started to churn the butter, churn for the butter. When Lord got up, he was upset about the fact that his mother is not near him. So he went in search of his mother, right? So now you see the devotees demonstrating great love for the Lord. The Lord is searching for the devotees, right? So this is what happens. So the reciprocation between the Lord and the devotees is so exemplary that one wants to compete in serving each other higher and higher. And finally, who won? Who won? The devotees won. That's the best part of the Leela, right? Hence, Krishna got captivated by love. So when Krishna went, he saw mother very busy churning with a rod. So he did not stop her with her. He wanted her attention. He did not stop her by holding her leg, nor her hand, nor her body. Because if you hold a leg or hand or body, still she'll continue to churn. Right? He didn't want all those things. He was very intelligent. Churning has to stop now. So what he did? He went and held onto the churning rod. He said, stop. So that's how he stopped the churning. And Mother Yashoda saw, oh, okay, so, oh, my dear Lord, oh, not Lord, oh, my dear Krishna, oh, my dear darling, that's what she used to say. Oh, my dear darling. And then what she said? She took Krishna into her hand and started to feed him. Now look at it. Krishna is Atma Rama, always satisfied. But now he is demonstrating contradictory behavior. What does he wants? I am not satisfied. Give me milk. To Mother Yashoda, right? So you see, Lord, we always think this is the path to go, but the Lord will do something else, and still He will have a message in that, and that message will increase our devotion. Right? So that's what Lord did. That. So Mother Yashoda started to feed Krishna. Prabhupada writes that the amount of love and devotion that Yashoda had was so much that the milk was just profusely coming out of her body. And it is a sign of love, which is very true also. We have some cows in our farm, and then some of our cows don't give proper milk at all, right? So our material mind, manta bhagya. So what we did, we call the doctors and say, okay, what injection to put, what feed to give, what medicine to feed the cows. This is how we think. So nothing worked. And finally, when we got one guy, he was an expert in cow. He said, sir, all these things don't work. What you need to do, you need to care for the cows nicely. The cows need to be happy, right? So feed them nice grass, nicely pet them, be with them for some time, call them by names, put a bell around their neck, and nicely pet them. You'll see there's a change. That's all he said. And we immediately educated our employees and said, please start doing it. Immediately, in a matter of 1 month, there's a phenomenal change. The cows actually start to produce more milk. So, we've read in theory, but we first time we practiced and we saw the difference, and that's exactly what's happening, right? Mother Yashoda is so happy that profusely the milk is coming out of her body, right? An example of how much of love she had for Krishna. Okay, now Krishna is now getting satisfied with that love and care. Now, Prabhupada writes that devotees need to do multitasking. They have to do many things at the same time. Hmm? And Prabhupada writes how Radharani is an expert. While she's telling others how do we do these activities, she also follow with cooking. She'll follow with this. So multi things that she'll do at the same time, and which is also true even today also, right? Our Matajis, especially homemakers, they will take care of the kids. At the same time, they'll know, okay, the cooker sound is coming. They'll count how many sounds are coming the cooker, and they'll know what to do. They'll talk to the servants. Everything they'll do multitasking, right? So that's brilliant. That's exactly what Yashoda was doing. She wanted the Padmagandha milk to be offered to Krishna, and she made so much of plans, sacredly produce those milk. And now that milk is getting boiled. For what? To serve the Lord. It's not for her service. When she saw that milk was overflowing, actually, our Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj writes in his book Damodar, very brilliantly writes that he says everything in the spiritual world is got a consciousness. Only the material world doesn't have consciousness. What consciousness? The milk thought, if my Supreme Lord consumes all the milk from the mother, he'll be full. What is the use of my existence? What is the use of me present here? I better commit suicide. So his suicidal commit is he just foamed out of the pot of that milk and he was about to fall into the fire. This is how Vrindavan is. Everything is consciousness. So when Yashoda saw that, she had two agenda. One, oh, this is for my Lord, not for my Lord, for Krishna. How can it go waste? So she just kept Krishna to the side. She ran to save that milk. Right? And that is when Krishna got angry. Now, Krishna is always in Ananda Chinmaya Ras, but he's getting angry. Right? You see, contradiction in Krishna's behavior. If you're not a devotee, see, then you will conclude, oh, you see, your Lord, he also gets angry. So what's big deal about it? If you're a devotee, then you'll understand this is not a real anger, this is transcendental anger, this is expression of love in a different manner. So what Krishna did, he bit his lips hard and he said, okay, maybe it's time to teach my mother a lesson. So what he did, he went around, he broke the pots. He broke the pots and he wants to show more anger. As what do you say? What is a retaliation to his mother's action? So what he did, he started to call the monkeys and he started to distribute the butter. Right? That's what he was doing. And then what he was doing, actually there was a mortar that was kept inverted. So he climbs on that mortar and starts doing this. But that Lord, who is feared by death personified, that is Yama. Ugram Viram Mahavishnum Jalantam Sharvadomukam Narashimam Bhishanam Bhatram Mrityum Namamiham. We say, even the death personified fears the Lord. Yama fears the Lord. That Lord is showing anxiety. What anxiety? Every time he feeds the monkey, he's looking around. Is my mother around? No. Okay, I'll feed more. Right? So brilliance. This is brilliance that Prabhupada is writing this in the purports. He's explaining how Lord is demonstrating variegatedness. Mother Yashoda comes out and she immediately sees what's broken. Immediate conclusion is what? I have only one naughty child in my life, and that should be Krishna. And it is his act. I'll go find him. So she goes in search. How she searches? Krishna's feet marks. Krishna walked around after stamping that milk and the butter. So she just walked around tracing the marks, and she goes into the room and she finds that he is standing or sitting on top of a mortar, inverted, and then he is distributing it. So she takes a stick and she's going near him to catch. Imagine Brahmaji is taking so much of austerity to get a small mercy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, the Brahma Vimana Lila that you committed as an offense, you need prashita. What prashita? You better be born as Namacharya Haridas Thakura and chant names so much in your entire life. That is when your prashita will be over. That is the situation of devotees. But look at this Yashoda. She's taking a stick and running behind the Lord to beat him. So that glorifies. Again, contradictory, right? In his understanding. So Krishna, when he sensed Mother Yashoda was approaching closer to him, out of fear, he ran. Again, he's showing fear and he ran. So Mother Yashoda started to chase him, want to capture him. He saw the intensity of Mother Yashoda wants to catch him. After running for a long period of time, Krishna concedes. He allows his mother to captivate him. So Mother Yashoda catches him and then she wants to tie him to the mortar. Why? Because if I let him loose, he'll again perform many mischievous activities. She doesn't want anyone mischievous activities. So she wants to tie him to the mortar. But when she saw Krishna started to cry tears and all his kajal started to move around and things because of the tears, Mother Yashoda saw, oh, the stick in my hand is what is causing the fear. She threw the stick and she started to tie the Lord. Now imagine someone is binding the Lord. We hear in Brahma Samhita. What did we hear? Lakshmi, thousands of Lakshmis are trying to serve Krishna, but here Krishna is stealing. Again, another contradiction. So, Ananda Chinmaya Ras, right? So Krishna is now showing anger, is now showing crying, now he's showing various aspects of emotions that is contradicting to what his characteristics are. So now Mother Yashoda is trying to bind the Lord. When she's trying to bind the Lord is trying to tell, oh, we read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, devotion, pure devotion is very rare. And when pure devotion is achieved, Krishna gives himself to the devotee. So after many persistent attempts, what will be Krishna's feet? I mean, hip when he's 3 years and 4 months, hardly few centimeters or few inches, that's all. But every time she brings a rope 100 feet long, she ties it, immediately she finds it is shorter. So when Krishna sees Mother Yashoda's persistence in practice of devotion, finally he concedes and he lets her to bind. So Prabhupada concludes that when you can bind Krishna, you can't bind Krishna with a rope or with a cage. Duryodhana tried that, no? He tried to bind Krishna with a net. I thought I'll captivate him. But that's not the way you bind Krishna. You bind Krishna with love. When you bind Krishna with love, Krishna is defeated. That is what Mother Yashoda demonstrated. So we'll come to the final, most important, conclusive part of it. Krishna saw the two trees, Damala and Arjuna trees. Now, who are these? These are the two personalities, the sons of Kuvera. Because their father was very rich, they got that pride in their head and they lost their basic etiquette and consciousness. What they did, they started to undress themselves and they were nakedly bathing with other women. Okay, so that is one aspect of it. But when Narada Muni happened to come over there, when he saw in front of Narada Muni, they were undressed. So Narada Muni cursed. Okay, you become, let you possess bodies like something that doesn't wear a dress like a tree. So they became trees. But when they surrendered to that great Rishi, he said, okay, I'll give some mercy for you. What is that mercy? That I will give you the benediction that Supreme Lord will come and liberate you. Okay, so there was a curse, there was a benediction. But again, you have to relate this. There is hands of the Lord in every time that happens, including the curse, including the benediction. Right? Okay, so now they became trees. There were trees. Where there were trees, they were not somewhere in the forest, in the backyard, in the same house of Nanda Maharaj. So this happened in Gokulavana. Okay. Now, in Gokulavana, before this Damodar Leela, many amorous pastimes of Krishna happened. Krishna playing with the cows and doing so many other things. And when Manigreva Nalakovara, in the form of trees, when they saw that, they repented. They repented so much for the mistakes that they did. It is very similar to, devotees, not devotees, I would say yogis, aspiring Sayuja Mukti. In Sayuja Mukti, what happens? You get impersonal liberation. You go to Brahman. In Brahman, what is there? There's nothing to do. No service, no activity, nothing. You just be alone, nothing doing. But when you repent, Krishna's causeless mercy, he reveals his activities and pastime. That is when you will pray and again fall down into the Martya Loka, again begin the journey of devotion service. That's when you become personal. So similarly, these two personalities in the tree, they repented so much and they offered such deep prayers to the Lord. Please help us. So there are two things to trigger. Watch this. One is Narada Muni's promise that to liberate them, but the other is deep prayers and devotion offered by Yamala and Arjuna, Manigreva and Nalakvara, and that made Lord to liberate them. So what did Krishna do? He just got his mortar stuck between the two trees and then effortlessly dragged them. The two trees burst and these two personalities came. The moment they came, they offered prayers to the Supreme Lord and paid obeisances. So the key learning out of this entire Dhamma Bandhana Leela is that whatever we practice in our devotion, it may be little or more, we should offer deep prayers to the Lord. When we offer deep prayers to the Lord from the core of our heart, with our consciousness, the Lord reciprocates. If our prayers are very shallow in nature, if our prayers are not deep enough, then you see the reciprocation from the Lord also gets delayed a lot. So take advantage of Karthik month. Offer deep prayers to the Lord. Make your life successful. Become a great devotee. Go back home, back to God. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Take any questions? Any questions? Okay. So one question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
very much. Very nice class. So you said Lord Yama fears the Lord. So why should Yama fear the Lord?
Why should Yama fear the Lord? The Lord is supreme. The Lord is Ananta. The Lord is unlimited. Right? So there is aspect of respect. There is aspect of devotion. So with all these things, Yama himself fears the Lord. He is duty bound to take care of Yamalok. And if he misses his duty, and that's what he fears the Lord. Today, Surya Dev comes on time and sets on time. Of course, he's duty bound, but he also has fear. Chandra, he comes on time, goes on time. He's duty bound, but he also fears the Lord. So this fear is out of respect and love. It's not the fear like, oh, I'm shaking my hands. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
One more question, Prabhuji. You said that 68,000 Snana Kund merged into Radha Kunda and Shyam Kund.
Yes.
But already by that time, weren't Radha Kund and Shyam Kund already there?
That's a pastime, no? So Krishna manifests Radha and Kund with this 68,000 Stan Tirthas. That is a pastime. Radha Kund, Shyama Kund happens after that only. And it is also after not just the Tirthas manifesting, and also the Lord swims, right? So that is when Radha and Shyama Kund manifest fully.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I just thank you very much for the wonderful class. There are two things that I heard from you. Is one, the flavored grass,
Yeah.
and producing flavored milk. And Ma Jasoda was trying to offer that to Lord Krishna.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis, the cowherd ladies in Vrindavan, they were praying each and every day, and they were preparing whatever they used to have in their house. They wanted Krishna to come and steal it, so that they would enjoy this stealing process and also this bhava of Krishna. So what I understand from you, please help me correct, Prabhu. So here the bhava is more important than the process or the rituals that we follow.
Perfect.
So here, how can we? But ritual is again very important. We cannot offer laicastically or maybe lethargically or maybe in casually to the Lord. So how to keep a balance of the ritualistic approach in the flavored glass, flavored milk versus our purity of heart? How we can balance it?
So it's not that complicated. See, for example, you ask your mother, okay? She wants to buy. I mean, in a current scenario, mother, right? She wants to buy organic milk, organic products, and use the best ingredients to prepare something for the child, right? Now, it is not that the other products are so inferior and immediately cause greater damage to the body and then someone will fall sick. It is not true, correct? But the love of the mother is so intense that she wants to give the best. When that love is pure, intense, she wants to give the best. That translates into, the highest realm of exchange of love between the mother and the child. So it is the consciousness that she does like that. Rather than, is there a big difference between a flavored milk at Yashodama's house versus milk in the other Gopi's house? That maybe, from a Sankhya point of view, it may be some differences could be there. But Krishna went to the other's house also and stole butter, right? So it is not that, it is the purity of consciousness. That's what she was demonstrating. Right? So when you see, she was so careful, she was very she was very detail oriented in serving the Lord. That tells the glory of her devotion. So that's the key point to understand. So he still consumed, right? Krishna. Still Krishna consumed, right? He ate the butter. See, that is the Leela aspect. Okay, that is the Leela aspect. It is not rejection, right? He wants to get the best out of the maternal affection of Yashoda on him. To show that Leela, he performed that act. But it is not because of any other action. It is not that he was upset with Yashoda, or he was not actually showing anger. To get the best love from her, he was performing that act. Thank you. Okay, thank you all for patiently tolerating me for 1.5 hours.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna. So let us all thank Prabhuji. Definitely, we are all gone to Vrindavan. Now let us come back to Bangalore also. So let us all thank Prabhuji by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Let us all assemble downstairs for the remaining announcements and Damodar Ashtakam.